And thank y'all for being here, and thanks to FAL, our friends at the Waccamaw Library, for supporting this, the First Thursday series, and all our programs. As you leave, there's a little whiteboard out there that has some upcoming programs, mostly through the rest of March. We got a lot going on. So if you have a phone, you can take a picture, click a picture of anything that interests you out there, or you can, of course, do it like I like to do it, old school, and write it down. But we appreciate our friends, and if you're not a member, please think about joining up right across the hallway there in the Friends Center, the Friends Store. And so we're delighted and honored today to have Cindy Hedrick, another pillar of the community, I think we can say. She was the former director of SE Cares, which many of you may be familiar with, that sanctuary for farm and exotic animals. So she's not just writing a book about it, she's kind of lived the experience of being close with animals, animal lover, and she always respected all animals as sentient beings. So Cindy's new book, No Voice, Our Choice, available from Class, just came out, I think in the fall. So new book, and it's back there. No Voice, Our Choice powerfully chronicles the modern food chain's damaging impacts on animals, humans, and the planet. Espousing the value of a vegan lifestyle, the book is an ultimately optimistic call for a healthier, sustainable future. So that's a great topic. Big topic for us today, but also very localized. So please welcome Cindy, friend of the library. Thank you, Cindy.
Thank you all for showing up and being here. I was so terrified I'd walk in and be here and nobody would come. Talking about this topic is similar to me to speaking on religion and politics. So, because we are all different. So we all have different views, different ideas. So first of all, let me say, I am not judgmental of anybody's choices and what you do with your life. We're all here on our own separate journeys, and we're responsible for our actions, whatever those might be. Well, like Dan said, we were directors of SE Cares for 13 years. Yes, and in that time, I developed very close relationships with a lot of the animals of all different types of species. And that's where it was almost 3 years ago, we decided it was going to be best to close the sanctuary and place the animals in other sanctuaries. We were really fortunate, and we found some really good sanctuaries for all of them to go to, not all in the same place. And we had 50 parrots, so all of the companion parrots, the ones that had actually bonded with other birds, got to stay together. But they didn't all go to the same place. So the different parrot rescues took in the parrots, and then we had all the other animals that we were able to place in other sanctuaries. I guess I'm trying not to read this, but I really don't want to mess up and, forget to say something that's important. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a climatologist. I'm just a lover of animals. And I did a lot of research to write this book. There's a lot of stuff that was new to me that I did not know. So it's been very helpful for me as well. And hopefully if you feel like you want to look at it, then maybe it'll be of some help to you. My husband ended up with bone cancer, multiple myeloma, during our 13 years of SE Cares. He had a stem cell transplant and is now 8 years surviving that. So, but the threat of it, because it's an incurable cancer, the threat of it always loomed, and I always worried, is it going to come back? When's it going to come back? What's going to happen? How are the animals going to survive? Can I do all this? And I didn't think that answer was going to be yes. So with that, and among other things, which I talk about in the book, we just felt it was best to close. Then after we had placed all the animals, I found out I had lung cancer. So somewhere in the universe, our higher power knew that I was going to have to deal with that in addition to everything else. And I guess that's why we needed to place the animals, because to me, and I know that we would have passed at some point, we're not going to live forever, but we had planned to have the sanctuary up and running, funded, have employees. We had hoped that it would do that well, that even once we were gone, it would still be, in operation. And I was going to say lung cancer due to too many cigarettes and too much stress. So, two things you don't want to do if you don't want lung cancer. So, let's see. We just had to make sure the animals were going to be okay, because it wasn't their fault that they needed to be in a sanctuary. It wasn't, they had no choice about their lives at this point because somebody had to take care of them. So that was my biggest responsibility, even if I had died. If I could die with a clear conscience, knowing that they were okay, that somebody was looking out for them. And I've been vegan almost 20 years, and I was just speaking with this lady about our diets and how things affect our lives based on what we eat. I do it because I love the animals. It's a bonus that it's healthier for our bodies, for the most part. Please, though, anything I'm saying, if you disagree, please know I respect your opinion about that. Let me just go ahead and get that out, too, before I finish. I don't want to eat the animals, wear them. I don't watch them for entertainment. I don't do circuses or petting zoos. And we've tried to make sure our sanctuary wasn't like that people would come, and as long as the animals were okay with whatever was going on, that was fine. But we didn't want to do anything to cause them any more stress. And when Dan mentioned sentient, and I guess you all probably know, you all look like well-educated people, that means a creature that has the sense to feel negative or positive or happy or sad or be in distress for themselves. And at the sanctuary, over this 13 years, there were different circumstances that occurred that I was really fortunate to be able to witness this firsthand. We had 2 cows at our sanctuary. One was crippled, and so he was half the size of Mayflower. His name was Norman, and then we had Mayflower, who was like a 1,200-pound heifer. I mean, she was a beautiful girl, but he couldn't be with her because she would have probably killed him, because he couldn't get around as well. Norman ended up with issues that he went down, and the vet had to come out, and the whole time we're waiting, because our vets are 45 minutes plus away, the whole time we're waiting, we're trying to keep Norman comforted. Mayflower's standing at the closest edge that she could get to, and she stared at this area where we were with him for over an hour. We waited for the vet to come. The vet euthanized him. I rubbed him after he'd been euthanized to kind of encase the chemical or something so that she would understand. I didn't need to do that, because when I took my hands and went over to the fence, she came to the front fence where I was, and before I could even get my hands, I looked up at her, and she had tears streaming down from both of her eyes. It broke my heart, because I knew she had just lost her best friend, because they had lived together laying side by side at the fence, even though they couldn't be together, every day for 3 years, I think. Anyway, so that's one example. In our horse family, we took in Sassy, who was not in good shape when we got her. Probably one of the worst cases we had ever taken in for horses. And we had another horse. We had, I think, 5 horses. She made the 5th horse at that time. There was another horse that was already in the paddock, and as soon as Sassy was able to go in the paddock with the other horses, Cupid is this gelding that I'm referring to, stepped right in with her, and he would not leave her side. So I think she was okay with it, but he was more a pest to her than she meant more to him than he did to her. But Sassy had to have a lot of vet visits. So when the vet would come out, we'd have to take her out of the paddock, go over to the, a side area where they could plug in to do things or what have you. Cupid would stand at that fence and neigh the entire time she was out there until we brought her back. And the only thing I could think of is he was so anxious and afraid that somebody was going to take her away, and he wanted his girl back. So then we also had a wolf pack, and they were full-blooded wolves, Alaskan and British Columbian mix from a roadside zoo that we had taken in as pups. They were not socialized. We tried to socialize them, but it was a fail. They were a pack already, and every time we'd take them out, handle them, hand feed them, and we'd put them back, and they'd go right back to pack mentality, which is fine. So we decided to let them be. Well, when the first wolf passed away of the pack, we carefully had to go in and get her body out. And we had her in a wheelbarrow. We went up to the graveyard, and we had dug a grave already, and the whole time we're standing there, all 4 of the wolves are at the fence, and they're all looking in that direction, and they howled the entire time that we were burying this wolf. And I wrote in here my big word, anthropomorphizing it. I may be, but I know that was a different howl than the howls I had ever heard. It was lower, it was slower, it was sad. I mean, I was already crying, and that just made it even worse. So there's another. And I know probably if you've had companion animals like dogs and cats and had multiples, and one of them passes, oftentimes our dogs and cats will do the same thing. They won't eat, they're lethargic, and you can just see that they're sad. Well, it's the same with all of these animals too. I mean, I won't get into insects, but all of our animals that are on our plates have this same kind of feeling. So I'm just trying to help make the connection. I'm not judging. Here's an example of excitement. We had 50 parrots in the hut. If you came to visit, you went in the bird hut, and it's really, really loud because all the birds are talking, which to us is screaming. But some days I'd go over there, and you could tell the energy was just bad. They were acting out. Some were trying to fight. They were yelling, not just playing or talking, they were yelling. And so we always had a music box in there. So I'd turn music on, and I'd start singing and dancing. And of course, the volunteers videoed me, and I looked like a clown, but I didn't care. I was doing it for the animals. But the energy changed instantly. Like some of the birds were just like, what's she doing? And so they're stopping to watch the show. And then some of the others started singing and dancing. They'd be on their perches going, bopping around. So it changed, and that really helped them. So oftentimes I'd have to do that sometimes when I didn't even feel like it. And of course I'd sing You Are My Sunshine, just off the cuff, And that always helped too. And speaking of excitement, the pigs. Oh my goodness. Pigs have been scientifically proven to be more intelligent than our dogs, and even as intelligent as a 4-year-old child. Well, and I believe that that's true. But when they get excited, especially over food. So when we get those food buckets prepped, and our animals really ate well. We were very fortunate that a couple of grocery stores donated their food if it was dated, especially the dated meat for the wolves, because that would have been really expensive. But fruits and vegetables. So they got grain, fruits, vegetables, lettuces, and all that. And when we'd start to go out to their enclosures with these food buckets, they would start salivating, and you could just see the drool coming down their mouths. And then Wilbur would start dancing. He was our larger boar, and he would I had to train volunteers to find his food bowl first before you open that door. Because when you're getting ready to take that bucket in there, you need to go straight to that food bowl and dump it, because on your trip from the gate to his bowl, he's going to be doing circles around you, the entire time you're walking. So he was just so excited. They love to eat. And the roosters and hens, that was the other one. I know people don't really think much about chickens, they say, are not the brightest creatures. I get that. I'm not saying they're as intelligent as the pig, but I tell you what, they do some amazing things in their daily life. They, of course, want to eat, and then they dust bathe, and they lay in the sun. I don't know how many times volunteers would come running to me, Cindy, I think one of the chickens is dead. And I went, oh, where are they at? And after a while, I knew. I said, are they stretched out in the sun? Yes. I said, they're probably not dead, because they would lay out there and stretch out and be sunbathing. But the roosters would actually, I mean, they guard their hens. Now, we all know part of their reasoning, because those are their ladies. But they would actually go out, find bugs or a worm or something, and their call was different when they found food. They would put this call out, and they wouldn't eat it. They would keep the bug paralyzed enough to stay still, and then he would wait till all the hens came in. Whatever hen got there first got it, you know. But he would wait. And how selfless. He found, I mean, I'm sure he ate at some point or he would have died, but that was a constant thing for him. We'd hear that special sound, and he was out there finding food for these girls. So, and always protecting them, always watching over them, which is why a lot of roosters attack humans when they're around hens, because the roosters don't want anybody touching their girls. Yes, now for the ugly part. So all these farm animals we just talked about, and I actually, was fortunate enough to have these experiences. All of them that we eat, 99% of the animals that we eat come from factory farms. I don't know if you've ever seen videos. If you're weak of heart, don't watch them if you love animals, because it's heartbreaking. The conditions they live in are horrid. The calves are taken away from their moms as soon as they're born. And that's just so the humans can drink their milk. That milk was intended for the calf, which is why a lot of our children are growing up faster than they should, maturity-wise, not maturity-wise intellectually, but in their sexual reproductions. Because those cows are fed hormones and antibiotics and steroids, so they're getting all that in the milk too. Plus, there is a certain amount of pus that USDA will allow to be in the milk, because these cows have been milked for about 8 years before they're called spent, and they can't be, well, they usually are raped and impregnated, and the whole cycle continues. But cows do not produce milk unless they have a baby, and a lot of people did not know that. I'm not saying I would have known it had we not had cows and had I not, done what I'd done with some animals. But yeah, so they have to be pregnant in order to have milk, just like mothers, like us. Yeah. The sows are oftentimes in gestation crates, which are crates where there are bars that she can lay. She can't really even get up and turn around. But she can lay, and her teats are through that, and as she has had her babies are on the other side. She can't nuzzle them, she can't do anything with them but lay there and let them eat. The chickens are crammed in, usually I think 5 per 8.5 by 11, and they're kept in these warehouses, and they say the stench will turn your stomach and your nose, yes. Oh, yes, they're debeaked. That's right. Thank you. Yes. Yeah, in the book, I go through, and I know this is not an easy book to read. Please don't think I think this is something great. I'm just trying to share information and be informative, yes. And I go through a lot of the different animals and how they live and what happens to them in the book with more detail, like de-docking or docking pigs' tails and things like that. Anyway, so I don't even know where I'm at here. Oh, wow, I did that pretty good. Okay, so I'm sure you can tell look, we just have to be relaxed. I can't be, whatever. You can tell that my reason for being plant-based is because I love the animals. Now, like I said, and actually, I'm not saying that I eat healthy. I eat a lot of fake meats. I eat a lot of, Gardein and Impossible stuff. They've come up with so many good things now. I can have my chicken pie, of course, my hamburgers, my macaroni and cheese. So all of that vegan, because finally we have a good cheese. But technically, the best and healthiest diet for humans is supposed to be a whole food plant-based diet, which is your fruits and vegetables, not a lot of processed stuff, which is what I eat. So just by saying I'm vegan does not mean that I'm healthy. And a lot of our problems, though, I think for a great number of people, some things we get genetically, but I think a lot more of it comes from our diet and our lifestyle. Like me smoking caused lung cancer, duh. And a lot of times people end up with, heart disease or high cholesterol or diabetes, or they're obese, or what else was there? Cancer. Because there's a lot of times that meat's processed and the cancer cells are still in there, and you can't cook it out. It doesn't go away with heat. So anyway, I guess that's all I need to say about that. I think if you know anybody that's faced those issues, though, in most cases the doctors will say, they won't tell you to go vegan, but they'll say, try to eat a more plant-based diet. Try to cut back on your red meats and your blah, blah, blah. Now, and let me say this because I didn't even write this in here, but I do take supplements because I know I don't eat right. So I probably have the most expensive urine of anybody in here because I take a lot of stuff. Okay, I need that, I need that, I need that. I go to Your Health, not to put a plug in for them, but they're really awesome there. And they're very knowledgeable, so they kind of guide me as to what I might need. So, and then I researched some too on my own. So when COVID hit, the animals were gone. I'm just there. I'd written those 2 books about the animals. That was kind of my healing process for having to let them go. Then, I don't know, something came on TV about climate change. So I said, well, let me look this up. And Harvard University had online courses you could take. And I said, well, let me just go to Harvard. So I signed up, and I took not 1, but 2 classes. And they were really good, very informative, not boring. It was all online. I didn't have to have a book or anything. I could read, stuff online and then answer questions. So that's kind of what got me started into being more serious about climate change. Because it's one of those things where, I'm just one person. What difference can I make, And that's kind of how I felt about it. My main purpose was, let's take care of the animals, But, then I realized it kind of all goes together. So what I learned through that class, and in this book, I may have already said this, but I had to do a lot of research. There are numerous pages of sources listed so that everything can be verified, and you can check the source, and it may not be something you agree with, but there are sources in here to let you know that I didn't just make this stuff up. Okay. So, and what I learned and started doing after I took this class was I'm trying to get, and I still can't, but I'm trying to get rid of single-use plastic. I know we all hear about that. I don't know why, but Ziploc bags is what hit me. I was like, let me see if I can't find some reusable. Now, like my daughter with 3 small children says, Mom, I don't have time to wash a Ziploc bag. Well, okay, that's not something for her to do right now. But I'd use them, and I love them. Take them, put something in it, wash it out, let it dry, just keep using it. And they weren't expensive at all. The second thing was using a bar of soap instead of continually buying the pumps with the bottles. And we can hope that some of that or most of it gets recycled, but honestly, can we know for sure that it does? Because I don't feel real confident about it. There's so many things. You got to have the paper off, or you can't have any, like you can't have the little spring from the metal pump. And it's like, oh my gosh, this is a job trying to recycle. So we just got to try to figure out ways to make things easier, and that's what I've tried to do. I always take, and I have actually gotten groceries, forgotten my cloth bags in the car, pushed the cart to the side, and gone out and gotten them, instead of going through the line and taking home those plastic bags. Because half the time, if they end up in the landfill, where they blow, a lot of them, believe it or not, apparently end up in the ocean. And there's pictures in the book of, because we think, well, why would a sea turtle want to eat a plastic bag? It looks so much like a jellyfish when it's in the water floating. That's why they eat them. So, and then even now with COVID, and I'm sure you've all seen it when you get out in a parking lot somewhere, somebody's face mask is laying here, the face mask everywhere. Well, the wildlife's already suffering from that because they don't always know what's best. And they're picking them up, or they're getting tangled somewhere. The ear loops get tangled around the bird's legs, or other things like that. I mean, just litter in general. And you know, we could all do better, and I'm sure you guys probably all do. But as a human population, we could all do better. And balloons. Oh my gosh! Every time I see balloons, I want to cringe. And I understand why people use them. They're pretty. You can celebrate with them, you decorate, you know, if they would just make sure they didn't fly away. Because when they do, and then, and what's worse is people that have passed, and we're gonna have a memorial, and we're gonna send out 50 balloons. Well, I look at that and say, how many animals are gonna die from that? Because they eventually come back down, they're rubber, and they're usually colored. And even the are they called mylar? The shiny ones, that's even worse because they're shiny. And the birds and animals don't really know, and they eat it because they think it's food. A lot of times they're looking for colorful things. Or the strings, I mean, there's just so many things. So I don't know, I researched it myself because I wanted to have an alternative to offer, you know, like if somebody said, well, what else can we use instead of balloons? Well, they have pinwheels apparently that are biodegradable. I don't know, that's as far as I got with the research. I know it's not as pretty and, you know, fun as balloons, but anyway. I guess if they were just, because there's a couple places on 17 here, there's one by somewhere, and somebody's always got a blue balloon out there, and I'm thinking, please don't let that go. It's tied to something. Anyway, so, that's kind of all I've got to say about it. I know we've got a lot going on in our lives, and we have more things to be concerned about than, you know, all of this. But honestly, if all of us can do something even as small as making some small change that'll help either the animals or your health or the environment, you know, and keep our planet going. And I know that's a debatable topic, because some people don't believe climate change is real, and maybe it's not, but anything I can do that's going to lighten my footprint on this earth, I feel good about. So I'm hoping that with what's in the book, maybe it'll give you some ideas or insight. Honestly, I had eaten meat. My mother raised me eating meat. She wasn't, God love her, wasn't the best cook. So we had a lot of meat, canned vegetable stuff. So, you know, I don't know how to cook and stuff like that. And that's why I ended up going to a lot of those. I was suffering for the first 15 years when all we had was that really dry Morningstar burger that really wasn't any good at all. But now there's so many things. And in the back of the book, I've got a section on all my replacements. Now, these are things that I've tried and I love, and there are so many other products out there now. So you may find something else that you like better. I will tell you that BioLife cheese, because that seems to be, most vegans say, you know, cheese is the hardest thing to give up. And it is, because even now, there are times my body's saying, please go get some cheese pizza. And I do. I'm not a purist. I do the best I can, 95% of the time. I'm just throwing that out there. But this BioLife cheese is really good. That melts well, because you want it to taste good and melt like cheese. So anyway, that's just my plug on that. I don't have any stock in that company or anything. So anyway, just a lot of other ideas and some recipes. There's also a lot of links in here that you can go to view videos, to look at other recipes. I just finished I've been making twice now, a vegan quiche. And it has sausage in it, my plant sausage, the cheese, onion, red pepper, and the just egg, and it's in a gluten-free pie shell. Oh, that is the best thing I've ever had. I hadn't had quiche for years. So to find that recipe and have just egg, it was like, all right, I'm good to go now. So I don't know how much time I've taken or whatever. The last thing I want to say is that no one person can do everything, but I think we can all do something. And if we all do something together and collectively, we'll have a big impact. And that's it. How long was that?
That was perfect. That was
Okay.
about 30 minutes, which is good.
Okay.
We often have
Questions and answers?
Usually the problem is on the other side that people like
Go
to
over.
go a little too long, and so.
Okay. Well,
but
good.
That's perfect. And would you take some questions?
Oh,
'Cause
absolutely.
I think that.
I
would be
hope I
great.
have an answer. If I don't, please believe me, I will say I do not know. Yes, ma'am. No. I have some orchids that are doing beautifully, but yeah, you can't eat those. Right. No, I'm not. I don't know. I guess I have certain gifts. That's not one of them. Oh, goodness. And plus, we have so many wildlife that come up there. My husband just planted 4 rose bushes, and that night, after he planted them, our deer that come up to eat ate the rose bushes. Yep. So now he's going outside with a flashlight and yelling and clapping at them every night. It's like, oh my God. Anyway, so yes.
What's the substitute for butter?
Oh, okay. Oh my goodness. There are a couple. Now what we use is called, I always want to say Natural Balance, but that's the dog food. Nature's Balance. And it tastes just like real butter. I kid you not. Now, Country Crock also makes, I can't even find it now. Okay, Earth Balance, that's what it's called. Dear Lord, I just know what it looks like. I don't know what it's called. It does have palm oil in it because here you go with that. That's a whole nother topic I did not cover in this book. It bothers me, but you know, I'm doing the best I can. So I can't think about that right now. So this one is called Earth Balance. Yes. Now, this one is more like your Land O'Lakes butter. It's that firm. It's in a tub, or you can buy it in sticks, but that's the consistency. Now, the Country Crock is more like a whipped margarine because it's real light and, you know, creamy. So it's whatever somebody would prefer. Yes, ma'am.
For years, I shopped at Kroger's because they had this marvelous vegetarian vegan section.
Yes.
And they have destroyed it and moved in all cosmetics. It's made it.
You're
made it into drugstore.
kidding.
And it was so great shopping there because everything was in one.
Yes, one place.
So
Yep.
now they've taken all that stuff and put it in all different sections.
Great.
So it's harder, but still Kroger's is very vegan friendly, very good place to shop. They have everything you need. You just have to hunt it out now.
Right. Well, my thing for me, because Kroger's a little further for me, because I come from Georgetown, out in the boondocks, and I usually try to go to Publix when I'm going to get my vegan stuff or my fruits and vegetables a lot of times, because most of the time theirs seem to be pretty good, but not plugging Publix because they are more expensive. You know, if I could, and some Food Line does carry some of our stuff. And my husband will, and Walmart even. Walmart's our best place to find our vegan sausage because that stuff it's called the Impossible Sausage. They have a spicy and a savory. I like savory. The spicy, if you like spicy, it's got a little spice to it. But oh my goodness, and Walmart carries it. And so it's like, well, yes, go ahead and grab and Skip will get like four. So yeah, we stock up on it when he finds it because they will run out of times. But yeah, yes, ma'am.
Are there
You know that I did just purchase the egg replacement. Bob's Meals, Bob Meal or whatever what his brand is, he makes an egg replacement, and we tried it, and my husband's he's the cook at our house, thankfully. And he was making pancakes because, you know, everybody loves pancakes. But for vegans, you can't have it with egg and milk. We use soy milk, but I will tell you, and I'm sorry, I'm getting off track again, but if you have a history of breast cancer or you have genetic issues with breast cancer, watch your soy, because soy definitely feeds that particular type of cancer because it has progesterone in it. So I just wanted to mention that while I was thinking about it, because I talk about soy stuff a lot. But we used the Bob's Meal, and for some reason the pancakes tasted awful. And I actually went back, got that, because we couldn't figure out what happened. He's been making them for years. So I got the Bob stuff out, and I said, that's what I'm tasting. So I don't know if he did it wrong, but I ordered egg R replacement, and I usually, here we go with another monopoly. I go to Amazon and look.
Amazon, you feel is that, aside from all the things that Amazon does wrong to some people,
Oh, yeah.
they're judgmental,
Oh, I understand. Oh, no.
but they have a good sort, you find that they have a good.
No, just certain things. No, I usually get most of my items from Publix.
Okay, so there's not some online, I think today, because veganism is actually one of the highest food areas where there's extreme growth, especially amongst the younger population.
Absolutely.
I'm not, in this country, I'm surprised that someone hasn't put some kind of website together.
I know.
You know, to go to place. I'm just curious if you found something like that.
No, and you know that I'm sure there are probably, you know, now that you say that, I think I have seen sites like that before. I'm sure there are some out there.
You know, because I think it's really the time, and it is.
I know, and I'm trying to think about what I've seen. My brain's slowly starting to degenerate, so I don't know. Well, no. I was trying to help because, you know, it would be nice. Yeah, I don't know. I just go by my. Gosh, I can't remember if I even listed it in the book or not. I'm sorry. I'm sure you could search it and find something, though. But a lot of stuff's going to be refrigerated or frozen, so your shipping cost is going to go up. That's why I like to just go get my stuff. Now, I do go to Whole Foods occasionally in Mount Pleasant. We used to do that all the time until Publix started carrying more stuff. So they do have quite a bit of stuff, yeah. They have my dressing, the ranch dressing that I love. It tastes just like ranch dressing that I used to eat, and of course, being vegan, I didn't eat anymore. Follow Your Heart. It's that one. And they have, oh my goodness, probably 25 different types of dressings, you know, all your Caesar and blah, blah, and they're all vegan. And this one is so good. I mean, absolutely wonderful. My favorite mayonnaise, Follow Your Heart mayonnaise. This is just like your, let's see. Which one is the sweet one? Is that Hellman's? Miracle Whip. Okay, so it's Duke's that is like a saltier mayonnaise. Okay, that's what this one's like. So, anyway. Oh. Anyway, anything I can do to help people along this journey, I am willing to do, and I'm so glad you all are here, first of all. I don't know if you knew what book you were going to be talking about or you were listening to today, but I'm just glad that you stayed. Nobody walked out. So I've done good, right? Oh, goodness. Thank you, guys. Thank you. You all are awesome. I'm so glad you came.
Thank you so much, Cindy. That was wonderful, and books at the back. So, you know, this is, the information is all in there, the specifics. So, and thank y'all for coming.